Hey guys, welcome to Femmes at Large, or Femininity and whatever we want to talk about. I'm January.
And I'm Mars. This week we will be talking about femininity and fat phobia. Before we
Ooh,
get into that, what's been going on this week?
so this week has been really crazy in social media. There was like too much to choose from, but there's a couple
Oh my
that
god.
really stood out. First off, we want to send like just our thoughts and just like strength to Kiki Palmer. Um,
Oh my
she had
goodness.
a really rough week. So apparently she ended up having to file for a restraining order against her baby's father. His name's Darius. I don't know his last name.
Good,
Jackson.
exactly.
Darius. Because
Cause who
who
cares?
cares? Because I'm just
Yeah.
like, so she had to file a restraining order against Darius Jackson for just like physical and verbal threats towards her, trespassing, um, throwing things. And then she also filed for sole custody of her son. So that
Amen.
already was alarming just hearing that she filed, but then to hear that it was all granted to her was even scarier, because especially when it comes to domestic violence disputes.
Never. It for
So
a black woman, like of any caliber, it is never like this for women in general, but black women especially. Like it doesn't even matter like what, like very rarely will they take you seriously. Megan Thee Stallion is a huge,
mm,
but yeah.
yeah, like it's just for black women, it's not always that quick and in a hurry. So that was disturbing. And then to actually see screenshots, excuse me, of the camera footage showing him putting his hands on her was really disturbing, and it was really sad considering that or insinuating that Kiki Palmer
Is
was
lying
manipulative and lying about everything, and then
quickly.
deleted the post. So it just was like very much like no, like literally, cause it. I just I think it's just like a really great example of the audacity of toxic men and toxic masculinity as a whole, and like
Yes,
even
yes.
like when Kiki Palmer's mother had to come out and make a
Who
video, never speaks on this stuff, and
never.
it just was really alarming. And I'm just like, this is how this perpetuates. This is how women don't get to have their kids or like be protected, and like it was really scary. And it made me feel sad for her. I felt bad because I remember with the whole Usher situation when she went back to him. I kind of was disappointed. I
Yeah.
was like, man, but I was just like, you know what? We don't know their business. I kind of got the vibe she'd get back with him anyway. But to come find out, it was just a cycle of abuse, and she
Yes.
probably said something that lured her into feeling safe again, and it just was really sad. And I'm just praying for her, praying for the baby, obviously, because it sounds like a rough road ahead, and you don't wish that on anybody. So yeah, that was really disturbing. That upset me because it's Kiki Palmer. Granted, it shouldn't happen to any woman, any black woman,
No.
any person, but it is Kiki Palmer. Like, she is the cream
Kiki
of the
Palmer.
crop for our age
Yeah.
group. I just it just goes to show that no matter what accolades you make, no matter how loyal you are, how good of a person you are, like there's men out there that feel like they could just do whatever to you, and it's just actually disturbing.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, and I'm so glad that it's unfortunate that we have to bring stuff like this up, but
Mm-hmm.
like after seeing what happened to Megan, like we can't be quiet about the men like this in our community. Like
Yeah.
it's two things about this that are like pissing me off the most. Like as you said, she's an American treasure. Like this is the Kiki Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, she has like a solid support system around her. I can tell like her
Mm-hmm.
mother is a fierce mother. Like she
Amazing.
reminds me so much of my mother. Like she's not falling
Mm.
for no okey doke. And this isn't the first run in she's had. Like in a situation where she's been assaulted, or like the Trey Songz situation. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember
Like
that.
yeah, like thankfully she has a support system around her that I feel like Megan did not have while she was going through the trial and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. But it's just like you said, it's the audacity. Like men prey on women
Mm.
that they feel that they can get over on. And I think that there was a period of time where there was probably like in the honeymoon phase of them being together where she was able to ignore those red flags. But like you said, we don't know their situation. I also was incredibly disappointed when the whole Usher thing went down, and then
Mm-hmm.
she did go back to him. But how many women in our life do we know that have a child with somebody that tried to make it work? I
Mm-hmm.
can't fault her for that. So I know that she will be fine because she is the Kiki Bomber. Like nothing,
Mm-hmm.
I truly don't feel anything will stop her.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that she was taken seriously when she did go to law enforcement, when she did take the legal
Mm-hmm.
route, because how many stories do we know of women that have begged for help and they said that they could do nothing and they're not here anymore? I would have lost it if that was her story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. He will burn in the pits of hell,
Yes.
and no one will ever remember him for anything other than being the father
Mm.
of Kiki Palmer's child.
That's it.
And I can't remember the last project his brother has been in. I hope they both rot.
No, literally, literally, because I just, even just seeing the timestamps on the screenshots or the footage, it was last year, like 2022, and it was like 6 in the morning. I looked, I was like, what could make you so angry to do that to somebody at 6 in the morning? What? Like, it just was really just like crazy because she was holding this for that long, and it really just
Yeah.
made me upset. It hurt me because she's just always positive. She don't really cause no issues, really. Like she'll say some stuff here and there, but I mean, it's just sad, and I agree with everything you said. Praying that like this just makes her stronger, and this is just dead
Mm-hmm.
weight that she's shedding off, so that she can literally like build up her production company that she's doing and build up all these
Yes.
things and also isn't she bi? So maybe this is a chance for her to just like get out there and just like you know find somebody else to fall in love with that won't hurt her like that because that's just terrible.
Absolutely. And that man, they just haven't crossed paths yet. Somebody's gonna love on her so good and is gonna love on that baby. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's just such a phenomenal woman. Like she just needed someone that was gonna match him. And when he came out and he was all like mousy and quiet, I'm like, this don't really. I didn't really see it. Like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sure he was a good looking guy, but she has so much to her,
So
so much
vibrant.
personality, so much. You know what I'm saying? Like she needs someone that's gonna match that, and
Yeah.
they just haven't crossed paths yet. But we keep her in our prayers. She is protected and covered and loved, and yeah, that men like that, people like that in general will never succeed. He will never win. He will never prosper.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And I hope he
Shout
goes
out
to
to
jail.
Kiki.
Yeah,
You know
shout out to
what?
Kiki. I hope he goes to jail.
Yeah, I hope so too, or even just like is far, far away from her because the way the article looked, it looks like he just keeps trying to find ways to come back, and that's even scarier.
Because
Like,
that's what they do. That's what they do. I don't know if you're familiar with this creator online. Her name is Ekane. She is mainly known for like she does like makeup stuff, and she does a lot of wig reviews, and she can slay a wig, lay a
mm-hmm.
wig down. But she is also known for talking about her. She has a very like Krishan Blue's face relationship with her baby father. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's the father of like all three of her kids. She's there has 2 or 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
And he met her when she was like 18, 19. He's well into his 30s. He's a bum. He's horrible and disgusting.
Always a red flag for
And
me.
all of the red flags. And now they're at this point where she has spoken that she has tried to take the kids and disappear, and that he always finds her. So she's just at the point where she just deals with it, like he's
Mm.
just in her house constantly. And this is again one of those scenarios where I don't know if she's gone to police. I would have to assume she
Yeah.
has, But it's just men like that, they will find you wherever you are. Like, it's the power aspect. It's not even that they want you, it's that they
Mm.
don't want you to have anyone else.
It's deep, friend. I'm praying for her as well because it's
I'm praying
terrible.
for her as well. She's said some questionable things, she's made some questionable decisions, but nobody deserves getting hands
Mm.
put on them by a man, woman,
Mm.
anybody,
Yeah.
especially in front of their children, because the kids are like young, they're like babies. So
Mm.
I pray she finds the strength to be able to completely free herself. But it's like, they'll like, I've checked in with her. I don't follow her, but she'll end up on my For You page.
Yeah.
Like, I've checked in with her, like, just to see, and then I see his face and I'm like, oh my god. Like, I
Mm.
really pray that she, because it takes a lot. People don't understand, to because your brain starts to make you think that you deserve to be treated like that.
Mm.
So it takes so much to get to that point where you're able to finally break free. But I'm praying for her. Yeah, I'm praying for her. Any woman that is unfortunately, you know,
Yeah.
in those circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but had to report
Heavy
on it.
episode today.
Yeah, no, heavy, heavy. We're gonna lighten it up. Next
Yeah.
topic is Saucy Santana versus DJ Academics. I don't know if you've seen that on the timeline.
Did they fight? Is that what happened?
I don't. So basically, I don't know if they have fought yet, but from where I've
Okay.
left off, I know DJ Academics was talking smack about City Girls and, just being
Yes.
misogynistic and rude. And Saucy Santana came back, trigger warning, and basically said that he would assault essentially DJ Academics. Would either fight him or clap some cheeks. And
To quote fairly, I hate to cut you off. He said he would fight him and then clap his cheeks. Obviously, I don't condone this. I don't. He's not going to do that. He's obviously not going to do
right,
that.
obviously not. But yes, we don't condone it. We're going to quote it properly, though.
That was the quote. He said he was going to beat his ass and then his cheeks. So
that's what happened. And so DJ Academics became very afraid because he felt that he can't say what he truly wants to say because he'll be canceled for coming after a queer man. And that, I'm gonna stop right there before I get to the rest of it, because men are just so funny to me, because it's just like, you guys bully these people, right? You bully queerness, you bully everybody from the day you guys are like 5 or 6. You're bullying other boys. And then when someone claps back at you who has nothing to lose, who's all very, very defined and very in tune with their femininity and all that, but also knows how to fight, then you want to blame society and cancel culture for all of this stuff. For all this stuff. But really, at the heart of it, we just know you don't want to fight him because you can't fight. And that's what everybody has been trying to point out for years, but hasn't been able to do it. Who knew that Saucy Santana would be the one to actually expose DJ Academics? Had this man crying on his live stream. Crying on his live stream. He can't say this, but really what you are upset is you can't say homophobic stuff.
Yeah, you can't say the F word. You mad because you can't call him the F word. You mad because you can't, why is that your only go-to? And Santana touched on that. I'm not the biggest, Santana has said some things. I'm not the biggest fan of Santana.
Right.
But like you said, someone who is secure in themselves and knows who they are, and, he can play in areas of femininity because that's where he likes and that's how he likes to present himself. But he said, at the end of the day, I'm a man, and man to man, if you want, you know what I'm saying? Because you have all of this static, you have all of this energy for women. But when an actual man has something to say to you over years, every single time, Joe Budden, Vince Staples, every single time, not Vince, Vic Mensa, every single time a man has pressed him, he's cowering in a corner. Mm-hmm. But you have so much energy to speak about other women and to confront other women. Like, one thing about, and you said it, one thing about Livingston, he's not outside. He's in that
Mm-mm.
room on that live stream day in and day out
Talking
with all of
trash.
his other little weird little fans jerking themselves off, watching him for hours and hours and hours. He is not outside. He's never been outside. He cannot
Mm-mm.
fight. And so
No.
that's definitely a big part of why he's like, "Oh, I can't say anything." No, you don't want to say anything because you know Santana's going to dog walk you. He's going to dog walk you if he even catches a glimpse of you anywhere.
Exactly. I just
Like,
I don't I just I feel like these academics finally need to be exposed, and just some advice for him, I wouldn't mess with people from Miami because they can fight and they will.
okay. One thing about people from Miami, they will always say like they're not from Florida, like they're from Miami. You know what I
No,
mean?
they're
Like
from
it's
Miami.
like
It's
they're not
different.
from.
It's
It's
different.
different. It's different. Like he is such a loser. He's such a square.
No, he's actually terrible.
Unfortunately, he will never fade into obscurity. I feel
Ever.
at this point, like, as long as virality is a thing, like, something that he says will pop off because he's that annoying. But yeah, I'm glad that Santiana got on, like, stayed on his neck and was like, why is it that the only thing that you can talk about is me being gay? He's like, there's plenty you can talk about. My album not streaming, my music not doing numbers. You can talk about me like you talk about the other girls, but you don't want to because you can't.
Mm.
Because you're
Mm.
scared. And that's okay to be scared.
Exactly.
One thing about me, what's that clip in Abbott Elementary where the principal, she's like, you know how to never get your ass beat, um, know when someone's gonna beat your ass. Like I never have felt threatened because I don't interact with people
I can't wait
that
for that
I
show to come
know.
back.
I know finally filming is starting again. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. But yeah, you know how to never get your ass beat? Know when someone is about to beat your ass. Like
Mm.
never have I ever threatened, antagonized
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah.
that I know can piece me up. Like that's just simple
Exactly.
math. And he
Exactly.
hasn't learned that. He thinks that he because he's never claimed to be a gangster, because he's never claimed to be in that world, that he gets like immunity. Like no,
Mm-hmm.
if you talk about me, I get the right to respond how I want to. And sometimes people respond with hands.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and
And I'm.
and, and that's the consequence. It's freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence.
Ooh.
Everything that you say can and will be retaliated how that person sees fit. That's why
Exactly.
with the slap, with the Will slap with Chris, freedom of speech, comedy, whatever, being a commentator
Mm-hmm.
means that people get the right to respond to the comments that you make about them,
Mm.
however they see fit.
Exactly. Ooh, that's a bar, friend. That's a bar. Well, last time we left off with, like, I left off with researching Saucy and that PJ Academics fight.
Mm-hmm.
Saucy was previewing a song about beating up PJ Academics, and
He made a song.
he made a song. He did a preview. I was like, that kind of slides. So there's that, and then yeah, that's the last I heard of it. But it was like, only thing I didn't like about it was that like a lot of problematic black men were like making comments and like being homophobic towards DJ towards Saucy Santana and stuff. What's that man? Dr. Umar.
Oh my god,
Dr.
that
Umar
video is so unserious.
said Dr. Umar because he's so problematic. Everything about him is just wrong. But his
Everything,
like
yeah.
one-liners be killing me. Like, and I'm just like, why are you funny? Like, you shouldn't be funny. I hate this. But also,
I want to be
like,
free of him. I want to be free of like finding those videos hilarious. I wish I did it. I wish I did it.
I wish I did it. Like, it's so terrible. It's funny. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of have to like laugh because it's just like I can't even take this man serious to be like upset. You know?
Yeah, I'm not giving him no money. I don't watch his videos on his channel.
Bruh.
Like he's not getting a single stream and nothing from me. But when those videos get reposted, I do be laughing. I do.
It's terrible.
God's not done with me yet.
Not right. It's a process. It's a journey.
It's a process. It's a journey. Exactly.
Okay, so we have a choice, Mark. You get to pick. Who would you like to drag? Would you like to drag Whoopi Goldberg or Lauryn Hill?
I feel like I may have more to say. I feel like You pick. What would you prefer? I could drag either. I have quite a bit to say about both of them right now.
I'm gonna go with Lauren because I think I have personal experience with that
Yeah.
situation.
Same.
So Lauren Hill, she's notoriously known for being tardy, and this show that she was at, she made like a little speech at the end and commented on her tardiness and said that we as the audience are lucky that she makes it on stage and
at all.
My God, and all this mess. I didn't even like when she started off with that. I cut it off, right?
Me too. I think
I cut it off because I was feeling gaslit, so I had to get out. And so I'm gonna preface with like my personal story. So in 2012, I went to go see Lauryn Hill at the House of Blues in Orlando, and it was a big deal because me and my mom really loved this education of Lauryn, and we just really vibed with that song. Something that I feel like we really resonated with together. So it meant a lot to me, and the fact that we both were going to this concert, I'm like, oh my God, this is so great to see Lauryn freaking Hill. I know this album frontwards, backwards, and sideways. I can't wait to sing the words. Can't wait to enjoy it, all the stuff.
You saw it.
Right. We go there, and mind you, we got in the pit, so we like in the front, because House of Blues, there's some seating, but not much, but
yeah,
like,
it's like up there.
Right, so we're like, let's get to the front, blah, blah. Now, mind you, my mom at the time, she's like in her 40s, so, she shouldn't be standing all that time.
Yeah.
We were there for 2.5 hours waiting for her to come out. The poor DJ up there was working his behind off, trying to keep us engaged. He was
for
good,
2 hours.
2 hours, and kept being like, "Oh yeah, I think she's in the building, or she's on her way." Blah blah blah. And by the end of it, I'm just fed up. She gonna come on stage with her kids. She had I think 4 of her kids with her, and was like, "I'm sorry, y'all. We were at SeaWorld." Now, friend, if you're from Florida or Orlando, you know that SeaWorld is literally maybe like 15 minutes from House of Blues because it's all
it's all the same strip.
It's all iDrive. It's all down there. So that was disturbing. So you mean to tell me you were hanging out at the parks when you already had a date and time to be at the House of Blues that's right up the street?
Absolutely. That had nothing to do with her.
Nothing. Brought her kids on stage. So, oh yeah, these are my kids. Look, it's Zion. And I was like, I don't care about Zion right now. I care about the fact that I've been standing up here for 2.5 hours waiting for you to come out, and you chose to be late. Not that something happened. You chose to be late. So that was number 1.
Absolutely.
Number 2, she was singing the songs, but she called them remixes. But you could barely hear the lyrics properly. You could tell there was no mic checks. And the sounds, like, it was a point like, does she even have the rights to her music? I was saying this in 2012. I was like, there's no way she has the right to her music because it was totally different songs. The only song she sang correctly was Killing Me Softly, the version done by the Fugees. And friend, beautiful. Goosebumps. All of my skin.
Of course, yeah.
Her voice, it sounded so good. And that's how I knew, okay, she don't have the rights to her song because that's obviously a Fugees song. So, right. So, I'm saying all this to say, for this woman to get up on stage knowing that she's habitually late to concerts in almost every single country she goes to, and on top of that, stole music so that she would never be able to actually sing them properly, but still is making money somehow off of all of us that she is habitually late to see. It's disrespectful. I feel gaslit. And it just reminds me of our elders in the Black community, and even in like Generation X and Boomers who just feel like they can do whatever they want. We just got to deal with it. That's life.
Just got to deal
with it, and that's not okay. It's disrespectful. You don't respect your fans. Like at some point, like I said, I talked this about with Miles about some of the artists he follows who I just don't think they like their fans. I was just like, at what point are you going to be like, hey, you're actually not that great to me. I'm paying your bills to some extent. Could you please come up on time? Can you please perform with the mic in your hand? Can you please just simple things? I'm not saying that,
begging.
begging. I'm not saying as an audience member that you are working for me and you should do this and the third, but where's the consideration? I'm spending all this hard-earned money I just made to come see you, or memories that mean a lot to me to come see you, and you saying that I'm lucky?
Lucky.
I'm
You should
lucky
be
you
so
came on
grateful.
stage.
You should
Y'all
be
need to
so
start.
grateful.
We need to start canceling people like that who are literally like, I know you worked hard for this, but I don't care. Because they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially touring. You're making
You're
money.
making, yeah.
You're making, that's why you make most of your money. And so she's not making any albums because she can't, because she didn't write this education of lore. She had tons of help. So
Yeah.
at what point are you going to be like, hey, like, maybe I should give a fuck about the people that listen to my music. Maybe I should actually have consideration and thank the fans who have stuck by me, even when I've done all this fraudulent stuff, even when I'm 2 hours late. And I just found it so disrespectful. I couldn't even finish the whole video because what else is there to say? So what are your thoughts, friend? I'm still heated just thinking about it, honestly.
No, all of that energy is 100% valid. Like the fact that that story was from 2012, you said?
2012.
Like for the past 2 decades, she has been, or I'll give her at least the past decade, she has been like this. Like, there's just no excuse. And you said it, like, she just does not like her fans. After a certain point, you just have to, like, admit that. And you know what? I feel that there would be, and I say that loosely, some people wouldn't care. Like, she shows up 2 hours late, you know, whatever. People wouldn't care if she was putting on a performance. Like, I shouldn't have to wait for Killing Me Softly. I can go to the karaoke bar and hear Killing Me Softly live if I really want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be Lauryn Hill at the end of the day. But, like, I can live at this point without having heard that record live, because I know that the rest of that concert is not going to be giving that same, you know what I'm saying? Like, someone I'm willing to wait for, Prince, Beyonce, Adele, because I know that they're gonna sing the classics. They're gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna give you a show. They're gonna give you what you paid for. They're gonna give you an experience. Like, all you're getting is the chance to see Lauryn Hill in person. Like, go to Brooklyn, go to Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll probably catch her. You know, like, it's really disrespectful at the end of the day. Like, these people spent, like you said, spent their hard-earned money. She does this globally. Every single person has a similar story. Every single person has a similar story. Like, I was the same way. Like, I saw that video, I literally couldn't even finish it because I'm just like, Auntie, I'm not
dealing with it. It's toxic.
No, I'm not. I'm too grown now to just be accepting whatever it is that you feel we deserve. Like, no, I completely agree. It's just so disrespectful, and it is, like, telling of that generation where you should just be happy I'm here. Like, no sound check,
nothing.
You barely show up to your own rehearsals for your band. That video that you talked about, Robert, what's his name?
Robert Glasper.
Robert Glasper. We can link it below, but. And that video is, like, quite old too, and it just talks about how she just does no preparation whatsoever. Like, she's so chaotic with her schedule that if she doesn't like how you're acting, or if you look her in the eye, or if you don't address her by her last name, saying Miss Hill, she'll fire you on the spot and will be holding auditions the day of the concert in the city that she's in for members of the band to replace people, because she fires people so frequently. Like, you're not allowed to call her out. You're not allowed to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just maddening. I don't know how anyone has ever worked for her. And my issue is, why do people continue to book her? I understand that she is the Lauryn Hill, but the fact that she doesn't own the rights to her music, therefore she's not going to perform any of that music. The only record that you're going to get in its, like, the way it was recorded is Killing Me Softly. Why are people still booking her at this point?
I think at this point, it's got to be in the hands of the people. If, like, people see that people aren't coming because they know she's going to be late and people really aren't buying tickets, that's when they're going to stop booking her. And that's when I talk to the fans and I'm like, y'all, like, I'm not trying to take money away from this woman because she obviously needs it. But at the same time, like, she needs to respect people. And, like, I'd heard stuff that she had, like, weird mentors and, like, that people that kind of blew her head up in a weird way. And
Yeah,
But at
of
the same
course.
time, it's just like I don't know about y'all. I'm not going.
I'm
I'm
not
not
going.
going.
I'm
I'm
not.
not going.
I'm not.
I'm not missing anything. I'd rather just go on YouTube and play all the music videos because that's literally gonna be better than sitting there being like her being late and listening to stuff that does not sound like the original at all.
No, I've heard some clips, and it's daunting.
It's weird.
It's
It's
daunting. It's
so weird. I
weird.
remember at one point I was sitting there. I was like, "Mom, what song is this? Is this can't take my eyes off you?" Like I can't even like recognize the lyrics because she's saying it weird. And then she's like trying to do sound checks during the performance. So she's like, "Hey, up,
She just
no,
don't
down,
care.
move, no, wait, no," and I'm like, "Y'all, like, what is going on?" Like, it was so chaotic. I'm like, "This is not what I spent my money on."
I'm
So,
not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I also want to touch on the point where you said just hating her fans. Like someone that I can tell doesn't like interacting with nobody, Andre 3000. You know what Andre 3000 is not doing? Touring.
he's not
Because
touring.
he don't want to interact with
He
nobody.
not
He's out
doing
there
nothing,
living his life
and
playing
I
the pan
respect
flute
it.
in Brooklyn. And as he should, you know what I'm saying? Like he's done his
Mm-hmm.
time with Outkast and he's done his solo stuff. Like he's good to live like just as this man for the rest of his life. He don't
Mm-hmm.
want to interact with the public. And I can tell Lauren probably does not want to either. She wants to just do her thing, but she can't live lavishly. Like for someone who is so like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, godly and this and that. She's very earthly.
Very earthly and very like manipulative because I feel
Yeah.
like she knows her power. She knows what that album has
She
done for
knows.
people.
She
And
knows.
and like at what point? Because I feel like what I respect about Andre 3000 is like he obviously has some mental health issues that came with the fame and wanted that
Yes.
space and is very like very wary of music industry, and I get that. And
Yeah.
like the way he interacts shows somebody who's healthily just staying to himself, keeping track of his money, and just chilling. Now, Lauren, you are purposely going on tour, and
Mm-hmm.
you're purposely shitting on your band. You're purposely shitting on your fans because to make the money. And I don't know how much money she's making. Like it's probably enough to live like a decent life. Probably not like
Yeah.
OG mega star, but like a good
Yeah.
regular life for like let's say like a doctor or higher, obviously.
For
But
sure.
like,
Yeah. Wealthy.
but it's just right. But it's just kind of like that people are still like really messing with your music and like the nostalgia of it, and she really like digs into that nostalgia. And I also want to have a conversation with like Frank Ocean because I feel like he does that too.
Ooh, we
I
need to
don't know
come
if
to
we're ready
Jesus
for
with
that.
Frank.
I
need to
don't
come
know
to Jesus
we
with Frank.
ready for that, and it's very layered, and he's been through a lot. But sometimes
Yes.
I feel like as fans and as listeners, we give some of them a lot more leeway when
Mm-hmm.
they are disrespecting you when it comes to like coming with the music or whatever. Like I have thoughts. So, but yes, I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, Frank Ocean will be Lauren Hillifying himself in his later years because
Yeah.
it's that, like you said, like people are still so nostalgic about that sound, about her. Like she does not promote these tours. I doubt anyone
Mm-mm.
is doing much promoting for it. Like people just want to see the Lauryn Hill. And that's what people do with Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Frank has such a strong cult following despite
That's
not
it.
meeting expectations several times. Like yeah, he did the same thing at his Coachella performance, didn't he? All of his
Bruh.
songs he performed were remixes. You know, he was late.
He
left
was
early.
late. Because I had to sit Miles down. My younger brother, we had to talk because he's a huge Frank Ocean fan, been since day one, and like he told me the things that were supposedly happening behind the scenes and stuff like that. But
which I don't doubt.
I don't doubt, right? I'm like, dang, if he did get hurt, blah blah blah. But when I saw this man on stage with no mic, dancing to the backtrack, I said he don't like y'all. There's no way.
He doesn't like. He actually hates y'all. Like,
way.
I'm sorry, babe.
They can't. Like, I was like, Michael Jackson sat in a chair and sang. Beyonce was pregnant, backwards on a chair singing. Who else? Like, at what point do you have to sit there and be like, this artist really doesn't care if I listen to them or not? Maybe I need to stop listening to them. Because it's like, why?
or you can just keep it at like, I'ma just watch I'ma listen to the I'm gonna
The,
stream them
yeah,
stream their music, but I'm not
there's
gonna.
no way. I was like, Mom was like, there's no way. But that's a whole other discussion, and we can talk about that
Yeah,
today. But all that to say,
poor
Lauren
Miles.
Hill, I know. Lauren Hill, like, you should be ashamed. You know what you're doing
Yeah,
is wrong.
she's not.
And Whoopi Goldberg was kind of on that same way too, but I don't even want to, that's gonna get my blood pressure up, so we're not gonna
Yeah,
talk about it.
yeah.
But yeah, those are the media segments for the day. Thank you for giving me this space to talk about it. It was fun.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg. You will see. In 5 days, you will begin to cough. But anyway, this week, y'all, that was the media segment. Thank you so much, Jan, for
No
putting
problem.
that together. It got very heated, but there are things that need to be discussed amongst us, the Black community. But this week, so last week we talked about ANTM. This week we're going to be talking about fat phobia and kind of how it appears in different areas of our life and how we've interacted with it, like personally, and just like what our experience has been. But just off the top, I'm looking over at some notes if y'all are curious. Just off the top, thank you. I just wanted to just talk about just straight up the definition. This is just like the Google. I don't believe that this is a Webster term yet, but just the how it is defined as we know it right now. So let's just say, what is fat phobia? So it's the implicit and explicit bias of overweight individuals that is rooted in a sense of blame and presumed moral failing. So a lot of those words, and moral failing being a very important aspect of what makes fat phobia, and how it is acted upon individuals either systemically or in different areas. So yes, it's essentially, it can be seen as like two different sides. So there are people that either they themselves fear ever gaining weight, or there are people that, it seems like you have a fear of fat people. That is not it. You have a fear of either getting fat or larger size are lesser than because they're a bigger person. So is most presented in, which is in media. So we talked about last week about ANTM and about models, and we touched a little bit on the plus size representation that was on the show, which at the time was one character in the earlier seasons. I can't speak for the latest seasons because I didn't watch that. I don't know if you watched that, Jan. Yeah, but this is the early 2000s. So just imagine being a young big girl watching the largest size be considered plus size, which at the time was 10 to 12. 10 to 12.
It's crazy.
I need the West and globally, 10 to 12 is a plus size.
It's crazy.
A 10 12. Like, there is a genuine fear of a larger body. So outside of, modeling and ANTM, we have now in more modern times in the 20s, it appearing in like diet crazes have come back. Like, we're really right now is a very scary time to be a big person.
Yeah.
Because we are like going back into, like, you have Ozempic, you have the BBL girls, like any appearance of fatness is shunned. And like, yes, we have made strides. Like, yes, there are women in media now that are more represented, but it kind of remains still, the optics aren't great. How do you feel about media representation for bigger people?
Yeah, it's really, really bad. I didn't realize how bad it was until, like, I had a past partner who dealt with a lot of fat phobia, and like seeing the things that she went through, and then I was able to kind of see how the media plays into it, and it's just really sad. It's scary, and it's also unfair because, especially in the U.S., like, our healthcare is trash, the workspace is trash, stress is trash. So it's like there's so many things that add to weight gain. So that
Yes.
makes it unfair. But then also, it's just weight. Weight does not equal health in either direction. Whether you're skinny or you're bigger, it doesn't mean that you're healthier or less healthier just because you're skinny or you're big. So it's really really bad. I've always known, like especially when it comes to comedians, if they make like a fat joke, a trans joke, or a racist joke, you know that they don't have any real jokes to give. And like,
Yeah.
and so it's just like there's so many ways that like fat phobia is perpetuated, and it's just really sad because it's causing eating disorders. It's causing just like mental stress. It's just unnecessary, and I feel like if we all just got rid of that, we'd live happier lives. But it's like you put this fear onto yourself for what,
Yes.
you know. So that's how I feel. Like yeah, it's really bad.
Yes. No, yeah. And yeah, I completely agree. As someone who is wanting to be more in the public eye, like I've started stand
Mm.
up, and you talked about how, like, once the fat jokes start coming out, once the transphobic jokes start coming out, that's how you know, like, you literally have no material.
Yeah.
Just to speak on an experience that I, like, literally just had, like, a couple months ago. So I just started doing stand up like 2 months ago. And one of my first open mics, I was like the first person up, and I did my little set. I was nervous, I was shaking like a leaf, but I did it, and I got like a good response. And people, I will say, I've really been quite surprised by the community, at least in Orlando, that has like come out to the shows that I've been at. Like, people have been so receptive to me. I don't know if maybe it's just my energy. You get
You're
back what you give
good.
out.
You're good.
But it's been very very surprising. But yeah, so I did my little set. One of my first sets that I ever did talked about like being a big girl, and how most of the prospects that want to talk to me are very skinny men, and I'm tired of laying on bird-chested men. Like, I can hear your heartbeat, like it's not, like that was like the whole thing.
Yeah.
The next dude up right after me, fat joke, fat joke, fat joke, fat joke, fat joke, and I'm like, oh my god. They weren't directed at me, but they were just like,
But
it was immediately after. It
like
was
why?
immediately after. And it was not getting any response. Like, he didn't eat. He left the entire meal on the plate. So, I that was a slight win for me. But yeah, it's daunting seeing the
Mm.
women that either, in the comedy space, or even in like singers and
Mm-hmm.
performers, models, like preciously, like people, women that have
Mm-hmm.
like really been breaking the mold, seeing their comments and seeing
Mm.
what they have to ignore gets, and I'm gonna try not to cry, is
Mm.
so terrifying, because I don't know that I'm strong enough. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I so desperately want to break into like TV and film and stand up, but
Mm.
seeing what they have to endure just by
Mm-hmm.
existing. No one's promoting anything. I'm simply existing in the body that I'm
Mm.
in. I've been
Yeah.
bigger, I've been smaller. You know what I mean? Like, I'm simply existing in the body that I'm in, and trying to feed it and be nice to it and be kind to it.
Mm.
And just being like happy, and you know like not hiding my body. Like, this is the first
Mm.
year, or like the last year and like this year have been like the first years where I've been like, I'm just gonna wear clothes. Like, I don't care if maybe
Mm-hmm.
a roll is sticking out. I don't care if you can see cellulite, or if you can see stretch marks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Like, avert your eyes if it's so offensive. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna like
Mm-hmm.
shroud my body in a knapsack, burlap sack, because you're afraid to look at a bigger body. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so just seeing what these women have had to, like Lizzo, someone which, for her faults at the time when she
Mm-hmm.
came out and breaking the mold and getting into the mainstream, like every single thing she did was on like a microscope, hyper
Yeah.
analyzed, broken down, like constantly the butt of a joke. Right now I've been like doing
Mm-hmm.
like silly little live streams on TikTok, because it's literally just exposure therapy. Like, I'm just trying to get used to
Mm.
people staring at me, because for so long, you're taught to be quiet, or at least that was the reaction that I
Mm.
have. There are many women which like I've become friends with that are like the exact opposite of the spectrum, where they were told, or like ignored, and cast away so much
Mm.
that they like like, bitch, you're not gonna ignore me now. They're very that. But I'm
Yeah.
just now coming into my own. But like literally, like every single other comment is like, hey Lizzo, blah 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 blah, in which like it's not. They're not eating the way they think they are because Lizzo is a beautiful woman,
Mm.
but it's just like, yeah, I fear for
Mm.
that side of it because I have, Jan is like a huge, huge supporter of mine and is like, your time is gonna come, like your moment is gonna come, and I am terrified. I'm terrified
Mm-hmm.
of what that exposure brings.
Yeah, well, Mars, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing
Of
that because
course, yeah,
that's huge. Because I mean, that's definitely like relatable, and I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. But like, for any, if it means anything, like you pushing forward is gonna mean so much to somebody else, and like the little Mars that gets to see themselves in
I'm
you.
gonna cry.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to cry. You
No,
can't
because
do
like
that.
no, as far as like you're really great. Like you're really funny. I remember when I first met you and I was just like, yo, like you're really good. Like you were prepared, you were on it, you're funny, you're charismatic, and like there's just haters out there that are projecting the life they can't live because they're feeding into that and they're not strong enough to push through and be like, no, like actually that's not who I am. Like I can be whoever I want to be, and it can be lonely and it can be hard to like do something that many people haven't done, but like you're gonna help so many other little Marses, you're gonna help so many other people who are struggling with that as well, and like just being vulnerable about your experience, like I think it's gonna help you go far. So I know it's like off topic, but like fuck them, fuck what they have to
Yeah.
say. Because at the end of the day, like even though it is tough, I am seeing slivers of like, okay, there's this big person here, this bigger person here that's
Yes.
like
Yes.
making waves, and at some point they gotta break open that gate, and everyone's gonna get through. But like you just gotta keep pushing, like you got it. So I wanted to say you got that, and then also too, I wanted to kind of tie it to like how being fat is an issue when you're more feminine. This is what I've noticed.
Yes.
Because like
Yes.
for
Yes.
me,
Yes.
my experience, like I came from sports, and like after sports I gained weight, but I transitioned to a more masculine style, and I don't get as much hate or like whatever when it comes to that as somebody who is more feminine, who presents as femme or whatever you want to call it. And like it's more of like I feel like men are misogyny trying to control how a woman is supposed to look in the eyes of a patriarchal society, and that's what I've kind of seen as well. And whenever you have disruptors like you, like Lizzo, and other people coming through and just being like, "I'm gonna do what I want to do," and it's not because you're a man and you're telling me what I should look like. It's gonna be a threat, even to other women who know that they want to
Yes.
be free of this, but they can't. But they can't be.
Yes, I'm so glad that you brought up the femininity aspect because there's this quote. I don't know if this is from like a scholar or just someone that I saw online, and I wish I could quote them directly, but if anybody knows who basically said this, but you can put women into two categories: fuckable and unfuckable. And
Damn.
if you are in this category, you are essentially, you're a castaway,
Mm,
you're disregarded,
mm,
and being someone who is your body type is not what society would conventionally decide as beautiful or attractive or fuckable.
mm-hmm.
A paradox for a lot of men, like it's that control, like wanting to control the image of a woman, and yeah, I think about that a lot. But also, I wanted to touch on you talking about the little Marses, the other little girls, big girls that need someone to look up to. That is quite
Mm-hmm.
literally the driving force for me as I'm getting older. Like, I know that there are other girls with my I was that girl.
Mm,
And so it's literally what's been pushing me forward. Like obviously I have a desire to be on stage and I have a desire to be, in media, but it's 99% for those other little girls. Thank you for touching on that. I do really
no
appreciate that and
problem.
all of your kind words. Um you did touch on just a little bit about fat phobia in the
Mm,
healthcare industry.
yeah.
It is another thing that is terrifying. Um, so I guess I'll just talk on my experience, and then you having been in like in sports and things like that, you can talk about your
Mm-hmm.
experience as well. But I mean, even just going for a simple checkup, like, excuse me, I have a cold. I've literally googled my symptoms. I can tell you
Right.
what it is and what it isn't. I just need you to like sign off on that prescription, Mr. Doctor. And it's
Right.
like, okay, but have you considered not being fat? And it's just like
It be blowing my. I be wanting to fight.
like I just I it really scares people away. Like I have friends because I've really surrounded myself with a lot of women that are of the same experience. You know,
Mm-hmm.
women more femme, of color, and you know, larger bodied, like
Mm-hmm.
that have gone years without being seen because that experience is so like triggering and demoralizing. And
Mm-hmm.
like I have had doctors quite literally, like there's one that was like our family practitioner, and I had to stop seeing this woman because every single time she was
Mm.
offering either like, you know, you're eligible for a gastric bypass, or you
Mm.
know, like
She
yeah,
said
like
that.
just like unsolicited advice, you know what I mean? Every single time, when I tell you this is not an exaggeration, it's every single
Mm.
time. And like just learning that I can disregard the weigh in if I want, because I know that that's going to be the topic of the entire visit, and that's not why I came
Mm.
in. If I came in for, you know, weight loss advice or help, I would have said that when I signed in, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for a checkup. I'm here for a physical. I'm here for, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
refill my prescription. And every issue that could be wrong with you will always be chalked up to like just like being fat. Like there are newer like practitioners that are coming out that are more versed in like actual science and like learning that like the BMI is like completely like
It's
flawed.
lame.
It's a completely flawed system, and that there's nuance, and that like your health is not connected to your size. And you know, I just haven't been able to interact with them just yet, but you know, it's really, you have to, and like everyone has to kind of cater their healthcare experience to them. But like as a fat woman, like you have to do so much vetting and so much research and so much background
Mm.
to even be taken seriously. Because
Mm.
as a black woman already, you're going to be disregarded because there are older doctors that are still under the, you know, thinking that black women don't feel pain. Like that was a thing,
Mm.
you know, for a long time due to slavery, that they assumed that
Yeah.
we have a higher pain tolerance, or you know, not wanting to be prescribed certain medications because they feel that you're going to abuse them, or you know,
Mm.
not being administered certain medications when you're going under anesthesia or things like that because they feel that you're going to develop an addiction. Like there's so much discrimination already in the healthcare industry. Now add an additional layer of being a large person, because fat white women go
Mm.
through this, like you know, Asian women,
Mm-hmm.
like there's always going to be that discrimination. So it's just, it really is such a disgusting, like I dread it every year. Like I
Yeah.
just grin and bear it when it's time. But
Mm.
it also like helps in like speaking up for myself and saying like, no, we're not going to talk about this today. And they're all, every time they're like, but I'm the
Mm.
doctor. And it's like, yeah, but I'm good. Like, you know, are we
Mm.
clear? Okay, like we can end this here. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just curious about your experience as someone that grew up in sports, because I was very much so not that. Like I was like in like marching band, but I wasn't doing
Yeah.
like, you know,
No,
physical
marching
labor.
band. Marching band's a lot because y'all be out in that hot sun and stuff, and y'all.
Okay.
I
And
think
one
it's
thing
a lot
about
of work.
me, it was always the skinny kids that were falling out, passing out from the, you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like, and it's
Mm-hmm.
also like you don't want to be seen, like you don't want to feed into certain stereotypes, like, oh, she needs a water break, you know? So oftentimes I would
Mm.
like push myself because I didn't want to be a problem. I didn't want to like divert attention, you know, away
Mm.
from everything that was going on. I think I had like one time where I was like quite literally gonna pass out because we would practice during the hottest part of the day, and that was like one of the only times I've ever like sat down and allowed myself to rest, because God forbid you need a
Mm.
break, you know, like you don't want, you know, it's just there's so many layers that like we're constantly like,
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about. But yeah, we'll get into more. just to touch on more about
Yeah.
your experience.
No, I appreciate you talking about that experience though, especially with like the marching band because it wasn't until I got older I realized how fat phobic like athletics really is and like
Yeah.
especially towards women. I know there was like different types of sports. Like I know like volleyball and gymnastics. I've heard like really bad stuff when it comes to like fat phobia and like portioning, rationing out what you eat, and it'd be like you're like an athlete that's killing like a lot of calories every day and you're like eating really small stuff because you're afraid of gaining weight here and there. So there was that I would like hear about and see, but then also I felt like you said, like if you get a break or you like drink water or like you're not able to like push through, it's that connotation of like you're not strong enough, you're not tough enough, and I think that goes into just being fat or bigger in general. That just idea that that's like as a fat person, as a bigger person, that you're just not strong enough and your liability, which I think also comes with like people who have disabilities. That's the idea, like life's easier for you, and why should I give you a break or
Right.
whatever? And
Exactly.
it's not fair. I know for me, like growing up, like my family or my mom for sure was like very like supportive of my weight and like never made me feel like I was too big. Like she'd always be like, "Oh, like you need it for your strength, you need it for your sport," and it helped me so that I didn't have like body dysmorphia too bad growing up. I think when I left the sport, when I was done with basketball after college, and I started gaining weight just from like not working out as much and just like stress and mental health stuff, like it was a transition for me because I did get treated differently, and I would see how the doctors gradually would like start trying to like suggest different nutritional places or whatever. But it got frustrating because it's like these doctors aren't doing their job because it's like you're missing key points and key things that have nothing to do with weight, where you're missing like diagnoses and stuff like that like could save someone's life, but you're so busy focused on weight. Like mind you, they got beer bellies looking at me. They big too. Okay, they big too, but they sitting here like, oh, you just need to do this and that, and I'm like, man, like I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 4 years. Like I'm not saying I'm the statue of health, but like I take care of my
Neither
body
are
to a degree.
you. Neither
So
are
I'm just
you.
no, literally. I just was like, like at what point are y'all gonna do your job? But then I was talking to one of my friends and she pointed out, she was like, well, they are doing their job. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That.
They're literally bring you in and shooing you out, and if it's too much of something that's gonna like affect your health insurance, and they're not gonna get the money back, like it's literally just like a rigged system,
Yeah.
and it just sucks because it's like we're so ingrained to think this about ourselves that like we're trapped in this cycle of just hating ourselves in different ways and making it harder for us to live. Like when I realized that fat phobia was based in anti-blackness, Fearing the Black Body was a book that I just like when I read that I was like, whoa, like it's all rooted in blackness, anti-blackness.
Yes.
I was just like, it freed me in a way. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna eat this cheesesteak, this vegan cheesesteak. I'm gonna go get this pizza. And when I feel like it, I'm not gonna feel judged about it because at the end of the day, y'all gonna hate me regardless. There's different subsets of me as a person that you don't like. So why would I? Why? I'm just gonna be me, and I just wish that like people would see that and like not like play into that because it's killing people mentally, physically, and emotionally. And yeah, so that was my experience, and it's a process. I'm still going through it. I think me being masculine presenting
Mm-hmm.
helps, but I also just don't like how it affects people that I know who present as femme or just people in general that have to deal with fat phobia more than I do. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing that experience and opening up about that. Yeah, I've never really, I guess, considered that side because obviously I haven't been this size my whole life, but I have been
Mm.
bigger than my peers growing up, and so I've always lived this. Like I've always known
Mm.
this. Like this has been, and just getting older and coming into my own as a woman and just like you said, like being a disruptor and just
Mm.
a part of my experience being protest within itself. Amen. And
Mm-hmm.
just existing in spite of. has been, very liberating. But I do feel for the people that, maybe at one point were on one side of the spectrum and are now, your bodies change. God forbid. You're gonna grow, you're gonna change. Like, weight fluctuates, like unless it's, something that's like drastic, like these people that are on Ozempic. And also what I want to
We
touch
gotta talk
on,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, we need to talk about the Ozempic people. You touched on like people that like would like have to cut weight and stuff like that.
Mm,
Those are never considered eating disorders. Like those
right.
people that are managing what they eat down to the microgram, afraid of gluten, afraid of sugar, afraid of anything with like, any sort of fat or MSG or whatever, that's never considered a
Mm-hmm.
eating disorder because they're buff and they're in the gym every single day. But like, you're afraid to eat bread.
Yeah.
Let's process that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one that has the problem with a bad relationship with food, but you literally are
Mm.
have to, like, down to the calorie, are managing every single piece of food. Like, you can
Yeah.
never just enjoy. That's never an eating disorder.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the day when people are able to really have that conversation and really talk about who's actually damaging their bodies. Because like we said, the BBLs, the Ozempic, like, I am fully for changing your body to like fit you, whether it's gender dysphoria, body dysphoria, whatever is
Mm-hmm.
going to make you feel better and keep you on this earth for another day. Like, totally do it. But these things are also being pushed by media. Like, they swear that we're advertising or pushing an unhealthy lifestyle when there are
Mm.
people that are ruining their livers and ruining their like
Mm.
internal systems with these
Mm-hmm.
medications and with these crash diets and, like the intermittent fasting and all this and that. Like, you're killing yourself. It's just
Yeah.
taking a little bit longer.
Mm.
I just I wait. I'm praying for the day that we do genuinely have that conversation. But another topic that I wanted to talk about, because I have so much to say about this, is fat phobia when it comes to fashion, specifically clothing,
Mm.
sizing, styles, what we have as options, because there's a lot of conversation regarding sustainability. Sustainability. We need to get away
Mm.
from fast fashion. Fast fashion is bad, which I hear you guys. And I have been grateful enough to live in an area where at this point, pretty much everything that I shop is secondhand. Like, I almost exclusively
Mm.
shop at the thrift store, but that is a
Nice.
privilege that I have because my
Mm.
area is well stocked with cute things to wear. God forbid I want
Mm-hmm.
clothes to cover my body that look good, that fit my style, that, you know what I'm saying, like, fit the like people think that bigger bodies should just accept whatever is available and just slap it on our body. Like, we want to look cute just like you want to look cute. You know what I mean? Like, especially being a feminine presenting person, and I've been presenting feminine for like at least the past 5 years. Like, when I was younger, I was only presenting more masculine because I just simply wanted to hide my body, and
Mm.
I was that like like literally sweatpants and a t-shirt or a hoodie was my uniform from ages like 10 to like 18. Like, it wasn't until
Mm.
like I became an adult where I was like, oh, like I can like wear cute clothes. Like, that's literally an option. So it wasn't an issue when I was hating my body and I was just trying to just I had to put on clothes because I had to go outside. Like,
Mm-hmm.
now, like, actually looking for cute clothing is a trek. Like, but like I said, I am grateful to live in an area that has sizing for me and like
Yeah.
cute stuff. Like, I can go to Goodwill, I can go to there's a place called OMG Thrift. I can go to Salvation Army and find things now because thankfully, the big breasted aunties or whoever were donating clothes, was
Right.
looking out for your girl.
Hey.
But that isn't the case for so many women across the world, across the
Mm-hmm.
country. Like, I don't think that it should be a privilege to want to, like, I can't fault the girls that are going to Shein, that are going to, which, mind you, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of my secondhand stuff is Shein, is Fashion
Mm.
Nova, like, it is Forever 21. Like, I can't fault those girls for going to those retailers or going to those websites, the Timus and the Fashion Novas and whoever, because nothing is catering to our size. Or they do have a line, but it's a completely different styling and fashions
Yeah.
than what's in the regular, the mid-sized and the smaller sizes. Like, why does it
Mm-hmm.
have to be completely different clothes? Like, you go to Target, and if you've ever been in like the women's plus section, like, it's old lady
Yeah.
maternity
It
looking
is. It is.
clothes. Like, what
Yeah.
young person do you know wants to be wearing floral every goddamn day? What young person do you know
They be
wants
make
to be in
yeah.
polka dots and something like with Disney on it? Like, who?
They be
Who?
wearing out
I
that
wanna,
floral.
you know what I mean? Like, it's such a privileged point of view to be like, sustainability, like, you guys are, it's so easy to like paint with a broad brush and just like
Mm.
count out all those girls, but like, y'all aren't really thinking of the bigger sizes, the plus sizes, when you talk about
Mm-hmm.
sustainability. It's just unrealistic. Do you
Yeah.
have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's been interesting for me just like transitioning from being more femme presenting to more masculine presenting, and like seeing how when I was dressing more feminine it was harder to find stuff in larger sizes, and like it stopped after a certain point. But then when you get to more masculine clothing, like everything's bigger. Like
Mm-hmm.
looking for pants and stuff, like my struggle was like, okay, I gotta get stuff tailored because like I'm thinking like metric wise, like measurements, okay, this should be my waist size because this is what I was when I was wearing more feminine clothes, but it'd be like 10 times bigger, 10 times longer,
Yeah.
and even shirts and stuff. And it's kind of nice because like I like the bigger fit, you know, on some stuff, but I was just like, man, like, why do we do this to women's clothing? Why don't women's clothing have pockets? Like just little stuff like that. Like I'm just like, and that's why I feel like fat phobia is so like geared towards just femininity and just women in that structure of the patriarchy, because it's like, why can't bigger women have cool clothing and stuff? And like you said, I don't like the hypocrisy of y'all need to stop going to Shein and being sustainable, but you're not giving me proper options. But then saying it's too cost too much to make bigger clothing, like, and I know like there are some manufacturers where it makes it more difficult, but I think there's a way, and I think it's just like they're trying to act like there isn't, but there is, and it's
There
just really really
is.
frustrating.
Just make the same thing and add more fabric. I don't understand where the disconnect is coming from. Like, I have a
Literally.
friend, shout out to, they go by Cleo now, but I don't know, they haven't, I'm not going to plug them because they're like in a rebranding era, but
Okay.
they were like, they're looking more into it now, but like a couple years ago, like in 2020, when they were starting to like really kind of get the brand off the ground, the manufacturers are charging pretty much double to make the same piece
Mm.
of clothing, just bigger.
Mm.
And that's like per item, like per shirt,
Mm.
because she was working on shirts at the time. Like, it's such, and like, but y'all don't care about that. Y'all don't care about
Mm-mm.
that. It's just, I'm
Nope.
evil because I have to go to Shein. I'm evil because I'm on Fashion Nova. I'm evil because I'm at Forever 21. You know what I'm saying? And yes, those people, like those work environments and those, um, you know, constraints that they're under in those factories are heinous. It's nothing is right about that. But when nothing else is offered to you, like, the only other option is make your own clothes. How many people do you know are like, I'm to the point where I might just start making my own pants because it's
Yeah.
just like I've been shopping in men's pants and the fit is always just a little bit strange because
Mm-hmm.
I'm shaped like a woman. Like, I have,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes like that. And so men's pants are kind of more, straight and
Mm-hmm.
narrow. And while I'm it's not impossible for me to find my sizing. Like I said, I've been shopping mainly secondhand and thrifting, and
Mm-hmm.
anytime I need some pants, there have been women's pants that I've been able to find in the women's section, but it's mainly men's pants. And now I kind of prefer men's pants because also
Mm-hmm.
the pocket situation, I could fit
It's nice.
the entire world in these
Put a
pockets.
whole everything, a book you can
The
put.
world, a scientific calculator, my phone, my wallet, my keys, a dog. Like, I can fit the world in those pockets. I can't go back now. I can't go back now. You know.
Oh
But yeah, I'm getting to that point where it's so annoying seeing, like, these influencers or these smaller girls that will go to the thrift stores or go to secondhand and buy up the larger sizes because they
Oh,
want the oversized look.
that's a whole
But God
other
forbid,
discussion.
I also want an oversized look. And guess what? Ain't no more oversizes because you mid-sized 8 to 10 or 6 to 8 or double
Mm,
zero
mm.
are buying up the bigger sizes.
Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
You
It's
know what I mean?
actually really
Like,
sick.
it's such a privileged point of view to have.
Mm.
Yeah, I really stay out of that conversation because when it comes to sustainability and fast fashion, y'all aren't being serious. You're not ready to
Can't
have a
be.
serious conversation yet.
Can't be.
But yeah, one of the last things I wanted to touch on, which is just kind of circling back to how, like, my experience living in this body that I've lived in and learning to love it,
Mm-hmm.
and like, you know, every person has more difficult days than others. Um, but even just when it comes down to like being in front of a camera, speaking in front of an
Mm-hmm.
audience. Like it took so much work. Like no, none of y'all know the journey and the battle. I was fighting demons in order to just get to this point, and I'm still not even in my final form yet. So everyone should be
Mm-hmm.
very scared. Orlando comedians should be very scared because once I'm really comfortable, it might be over for y'all. I hate to say that.
Mm-hmm.
It might be over for y'all. But yeah, it takes so much. It takes so much to get to the point that I've gotten to in my relationship with my body and my relationship with how I allow the world to view me and just being visible at all. Like living in this body, I in subconsciously was taught to basically not be seen, not be heard,
Mm-hmm.
don't don't be a distraction, don't cause too much attention to yourself. Like literally just a mouse of like a shell of a person for so much of my life. Like it comes from every angle. It came from my family. You know, you talked about how
Mm-hmm.
like doctors that you said like, you know, they're talking to you with a big old pot belly, you know, a beer belly or what have you, and have the nerve to talk about, you know, your relationship to weight and fitness. Like aunties that are not small in any
Not
regard.
even the closest.
Not even their mouth is small, and have the nerve to be like, ooh, you know, you come up. I've like skipped out on family, and there's a lot of other women that have this experience. I've skipped out on family interactions. There's several people that I do not speak to anymore
Mm-hmm.
because the first thing that they have to say is something about my size. About, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
girl, you know, you getting up there. You might want to.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen me in
Mm-hmm.
years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Now,
I'm
hi,
gonna
how
get.
you doing? How's life?
It's
Not too
and there's
different.
and it's you know, it's a thing in the black community, people of color, you know. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
of every experience across the diaspora have had this interaction where if you're a different size from the last time you saw that person and you're bigger than that last time, they're gonna talk about it. And no one's talking about you, auntie,
Look,
because
you
you don't
gotta
look
check
any
them one
smaller
good
than the
time.
last. You don't look any smaller than the last time I saw you.
Exactly. Exactly. That be killing me the most, bro. The killing me the most. I had to check my great aunt one time. Like it was a couple
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And she was like, "Oh, you've gotten bigger," and I was like, "Okay." And it was just like this awkward silence. She looking at me. I'm looking at her.
Right, and we looking at
I'm
each
looking at
other.
her. She's like, and she's like, "Okay." And I was like, "Okay." Like, don't, because it's like, what's the reason? What is the point? What did you succeed in doing? Projecting how you feel about yourself.
Right, it
What did
is.
that do
It's
except create more hurt?
it's all projection, and it's another one of those things that I hope that our generation is able to be free of, you know,
Mm.
in the coming years. You know, it's still, the optics aren't great for us girlies, you know. It's still very scary to be a large person and to be visible and to be, you know, but I pray that eventually we will be able to be free of ourselves of like commenting on people's bodies unsolicited. Like at this point, like even if I come up to you and I'm, you know, a smaller size, you don't have to comment on that either. You don't have to comment on me
Mm-hmm.
being bigger. You don't have to comment on being smaller. You don't have to comment on anything that I didn't ask you to comment on. You know,
Yeah.
because you don't know people it's your body could be going through detriment to get to a smaller size. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
like I just watched, I don't know if you've seen Everything Now. It's very triggering for anyone that has not a good relationship with food or their body image, but it is pretty powerful content, and I'm happy for that. It's on Netflix. It's a British show, but the girl in the show is anorexic, and no matter how hard she tries, no matter what she does, she doesn't feel that she looks the way everyone is telling her that she looks, which is fairly normal. She is a very small, frail girl, but she will never see that. And I've had people in my life, or times in my life, where I was starving myself, or I've had friends that were starving themselves, and yeah, they lost a whole bunch of weight, and everyone's telling you, "Oh my god, you look so good! Oh my god!" Like,
Mm.
you don't understand what that does.
Mm.
So I just, if there can be any sort of takeaway from this episode, it's just mind the business that pays you.
Mm.
Um, don't comment on things that no one is asking you to comment on. Like, if someone's coming out and they're like, "Y'all, I did all of this work and I blah blah blah," of course applaud them,
Yeah.
celebrate them, because they're asking you to. But going out of your way and someone that you haven't seen and commenting on it when was never a topic of discussion is so incredibly violent. And people don't care about fat people's feelings. Like, they don't, because it's
Yeah.
always like, "Oh well, it's your fault. If you don't like it, then change." But it's like, you know what could change? Everyone's perspective. You could do just a little bit of work to be more sensitive or to be more knowledgeable, and you know what I mean? Why? I don't know. I'm just not. That's not my ministry. That's not my church anymore. I am living for Mars. I am being so incredibly selfish because, like you said, you're gonna have preconceived notions about me regardless. So if I'm gonna be evil, if I'm gonna be, I might as well be that. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I'm gonna
I
enjoy
might as
it.
well be that. So live for you, but also mind your business, and also, just try a little bit to be kinder to yourself every day. For anybody watching, it's possible. And I'm still, every day I'm working on it. Like,
Mm.
every day is a new, first for me, honestly. Like, just even for as long, I haven't been wearing makeup that long. I know you wouldn't know. I'm joking, but I've not been wearing makeup that long. Just being able to explore femininity in a larger body has
Mm.
been such a journey and such an experience. And it's possible. Happiness is possible. A good relationship with yourself is possible. I've just started not being mean to myself in my head. I don't say anything
Mm.
unkind about myself out loud in front of mixed company. But just even in my own head, yeah, it's all very important. But yeah, that was pretty much our take on fat phobia and
It was so
femininity.
good.
Thank you so much. It's a very vulnerable episode.
Mm.
Um, and just in general, I've just tried to be more vocal, um, because we need more of us in these spaces. Like you said, there are more women and are more, um, you know people in every field. Just to, I know I just said we were rapping, but just one more point that I wanted to talk about. I was in Brooklyn recently, and I went to see a friend at a DJ event, and so there was two or three different rooms, and I went in this one smaller room, and I don't know their pronouns, but they were, a feminine presenting large body DJ, and they looked so cool. They looked so cool, and I
That's
was
so
just
dope.
mesmerized by them. And I didn't get their information. I'm sure it's still on the flyer, but I was just like, wow, you know what I mean? And so
Mm.
maybe there's someone looking at you like that, wow,
Mm.
they're so cool. There's, they were just so dope and just in their element, and just unapologetically them, and just it
Mm.
was just, oh my god, I was just I want to be like you when I grow up. You are
Mhm.
everything. So just don't stop, because there's someone without a
Mm.
doubt that's looking at you like that, to the viewer. So yeah, it's important. Representation is so important.
Yeah, no, it's definitely important. Like even just what you said about just being able to explore your femininity. I think it's super beautiful because I think fat phobia, that's the goal, is to like shut that down and like try to
Yes.
perpetuate the femininity that they want to be expressed. And yeah, like I think inspiring others is like what scares a lot of these people who aren't able to be free or makes money off of you not being able to be free. Because let's be honest, the diet culture, they make a lot of money. The exercise culture makes a lot of money off of your fear instead of just being in love with your body as it is and just being healthier in general. What a concept.
You
But
talking that shit. You talking that shit, friend.
I
I'm
mean, because
telling you.
it's honestly, I'm learning through all of our shows and just experiences that capitalism is the real villain. But that's those
They're
that's
not ready for that. They're not ready for that conversation.
they're
They're
not
not
ready for
ready
that
for that
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah, they're
That's
not
the
ready.
real.
But
That's the real evil. Okay, it's not your
it's
big friend. It's not that big person
no,
on television. It's not that big person in that movie.
no.
It's
It's the
unfortunately
money.
capitalism, and you're
It's
the sucker. A
capitalism.
sucker's born every minute, and you're the sucker.
Literally, yeah, we gotta talk about that one day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I just like thank you so much for being vulnerable with us and sharing your story. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. Thank you, viewers, for listening, watching, wherever you're consuming this content. We appreciate you. If you want more information or just to keep up with us, you can follow us on Instagram or TikTok or subscribe to Femmes at Large. So you can be notified whenever a new show or something comes up. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Can't wait to talk to y'all next week. And you guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.